Hello everyone, I'm excited to talk to you today about cooperative learning. First, want to get into what is cooperative learning. I personally love this type of learning for the kids because instead of just giving them a worksheet or an activity to do on their own, they're doing something together as a group to show what they have learned. Here are some benefits of cooperative learning. First thing is it enhances their learning. They're able to learn better when they are explaining it to each other. They they truly just explain it in a way that makes sense to them and then it makes sense to another child. Next thing is their social skills. Working in small groups can help students with their communication and also it can help with conflict skills. So if you see some kids are not able to communicate well, I fully recommend using cooperative learning, but be there to help and support. But it's very beneficial for the kids to grow in communication. Next one is engagement. It makes learning more more enjoyable and engaging. A lot of kids are more involved in wanting to participate because of working together as a group and being a team. Another thing is it gives the students an opportunity to share their different viewpoints. So if they know something about this topic that you were not planning to share, it brings another thing into it. And it also, the kids who already know about this topic get extra excited to share what they know. Another thing that then leads me into the supportive learning environment. When it's smaller groups, it helps students to feel more comfortable to make mistakes and to take risks instead of trying to answer questions in a whole group. There are some challenges. Some of the challenges are sometimes when it comes to group work, not all students will do their work equally. Some kids might do more work, some kids might do less work. There is a risk. Some students may depend on their peers to do all the work and just think, I'm going to sit back and just watch. So it's really important that you're facilitating the room and walking around and making sure that everybody is doing their job. There could be conflicts with the group, as I was talking about. We're working on communication skills. So, again, that is why you're monitoring and walking around these groups so you can help and model what a healthy conversation looks like for the kids. Also, creating groups can be time consuming, especially if you have a different behaviors in the classroom or just, some students don't work well together, just keeping them separated. But yeah, so I do have an example of project-based learning going into plants again. So the I can statement for the kids would be I can retell the parts of the plant and what they need to grow. I do have lists of materials just in case. But before you even start, prior knowledge, ask the students what they already know about plants, and then briefly introduce the different parts of the plant. If you have a PowerPoint, great. If you have a video to introduce it, there's some great science ones on YouTube. Our school also has a science curriculum that has a great book that has pages about parts of a plant. Into this lesson is called Jigsaw. So this is when you now will split the students into 4 groups. Each group will become experts in the part of the plant. So you'll have about 4 kids on talking about together about roots, another 4 or 5 kids talking about the stem of a plant, another 4 or 5 kids talking about leaves, and another 4 or 5 kids talking about flowers. You'll each group will get different resources that has research about their topic. They'll get pictures and they will be creating a poster on what they learned to then share with the class. This activity, I would give the kids about 20 minutes so they can be creative and have time to read more about the topics and give a picture. If you see that they need more time, then you can give more time for them. The next thing bringing with is the think, pair, share. Then students will, after they share about the parts of their plants, they will then have to think about why is each part of the plant important, and then you will pair the students up to discuss their thoughts. Again, I would give them, 10 minutes to share and discuss, and then they will be sharing their ideas with the class. Something I learned was these pairing cards, which are great. So there's like egg and bacon, peanut butter jelly, cereal milk, spaghetti meatball. So you'll have half the class meatballs, half the class spaghetti, and they have to find their other half. My last thing I would do in this lesson is in a group investigation. They'll then go back to their first groups and investigate how plants then grow. They then will talk about what they need to survive, and each group will make their own mini book about the growth of a plant. Lastly, then they can present their book to the class, and something even you can add on to this if they are like an older grade, say first grade, they can actually take their learning and read their little books to kindergarteners, which is another great thing that they can do and show that how working together they can create something great to show their learning. But yeah, that's what I have for today. I also have some tips for success. Again, making sure all students are participating and just encourage them to share their ideas. Give them clear instructions and support through each activity. Truly, you just have to make sure like you're pausing each group and talking to them and making sure they're okay while they're working. And then also using positive reinforcement to motivate students. Points are great if you have Classroom Dojo. Stickers, kids just love stickers. Some schools have their own little reward systems. My school has rocket fuel because we are the Rockets, which then they use that rocket fuel to be able to buy prizes from the school store. But yeah, here are my resources. Thank you so much for joining me for my video. I hope you have an amazing day.